If I were starting a relationship in 2026, with everything I know about love and partnership, there are two things I would take very, very seriously from day one. Just two. Yeah, two that will determine whether this turns into a 5-year relationship or a painful lesson. If you're new here, I'm Andrea, I'm a couples therapist, and I help you build the emotionally mature relationship your parents didn't get to have. Let's dive in. If you are in those first intense, magical months, everything up to a year, this might be very important for you because what feels small right now might shape everything later. When it comes to early months of a new relationship, I believe there are only two questions a couple can ask each other that now in reverse, now when I see couples who are together 5-10 years, I realize how essential this could have been for them if they had known this at the beginning. Question one. What truly matters to you in life? Let's be honest, this question is not easy to answer, not at all. But since I know how important it is, I will offer you the way I prefer to answer it for myself. It served me quite well in my marriage. We are together 16 years and 11 years married. And this is also the way I offer my clients to answer it. It goes like this. What we are actually going to establish is something called the hierarchy of your core values. Let's make a triangle. Divide it like this into 5 horizontal sections. In the top section, there is only one value. That's your absolute highest priority. In the second section, write 2 values. In the third, 3. In the fourth, 4. In the fifth, 5. That's 15 things in total that matter to you deeply. You can also do it in a way where you write 15 things first somewhere on the paper and then rank them and put them in this triangle. An important thing to understand is within each section, things are equally important. All 4 values in level 4 matter more than anything in level 5, but all 4 within level 4 are equally important. But what counts as value? Being a parent, not being a parent, building a meaningful career, being a stay-at-home parent, physical health, mental health, freedom. But what kind of freedom? Travel, creativity, hobbies, financial success, spiritual growth, and so on and so on. You get the point. And the more specific you are, the better. Don't stay vague. For example, if you value travel, what does that mean? Once a year for 3 weeks, someplace warm, maybe backpacking through Europe throughout the year, or maybe short monthly trips with your partner or with family or with friends. None of this is right or wrong. They're only right or wrong for you. Now, here is why this matters so much for early stages of a relationship. This is something that both you and your current partner should do for themselves. But since you are the one here at the moment, pause this video and grab a pen and paper. And let's answer this important value question while watching this. Because we both know you'll never do it if you leave it later. Yes, I'm serious. Go, grab the pen now.
One eternity later.
Okay, here's the explanation. Your top value, the one at the very peak, is the one that, if missing or compromised, will significantly lower your quality of life. For example, if your top value is, let's say, your deep ambition to reach the top of your career, leadership, impact, influence, and your partner's top value, his deepest dream, is to have 5 children and build a family-centered life. This tells me whether you are moving in the same direction or in the parallel lives that only look romantic at the beginning. If your top value directly clashes with your partner's top value, that's not a small issue. And this is why I encourage couples to know this about each other when they enter a new relationship, when they are in the early stages of a new relationship. This doesn't automatically mean break up. This simply means talk about it now. Here is another example. If your highest value is seeing the world, being able to travel every 2 to 3 months, presumably with your partner, and your partner's highest value is building a company That's asking of him to be very present, location-based, like intense physical commitment. There, in that kind of relationship, might be tension there. And not because anyone is wrong, but because direction of life might not align here. Have in mind that the higher something in your hierarchy is, the more you're going to be emotionally invested. So what is a good sign for every new relationship? Well, good sign is the more aligned you are in those first two levels, the easier it would be to move in the same direction long term. They don't have to be exactly the same, but it would be good if they align. For example, if both of you like family-centered life in those first two levels, or career-centered lives, or life around traveling, or life around hobbies, or so check out those two levels. If they're similar or they go well together, and that's a good sign. Values in level 3, 4, 5, they're usually more flexible. And we're going to be somewhat less affected, emotionally affected, if we make compromise in these areas of life. Now, important clarification, even couples with highly compatible values will struggle. This doesn't mean you won't fight if you have aligned values. It only means you won't have to settle for a life you never wanted and then blame your partner for it. Because both conflict and repair are part of intimacy and part of long-term, emotionally mature relationships. The strongest couples are not those without problems. The strongest couples are those who can repair after a rupture. And that's why this exercise doesn't eliminate the difficult part. It simply gives you clarity. And clarity early on is a gift. Now, question 2, if I'm in the first few months in my new relationship, how could my own insecurities destroy this relationship? Or which of my unhealed wounds are a potential risk? And sooner or later, they will show up. Now, answering this question requires courage, enormous amount of courage. It asks you to be brave, to be honest with yourself. But because it's so vulnerable, you don't have to say to your partner immediately. Answer it in a diary first, or on a piece of paper if you're a non-diary person. Something that can help you with this is think about yourself in former relationships. What bothered you the most? Where were your triggers? Find the common denominator and you will find your unhealed wound. And I know some of you will gravitate towards, oh, but my ex did this and they were the one to blame. Yes, that might be the truth, but try, for the sake of your future emotionally healthy, emotionally mature relationship, to think about yourself from a perspective of a fly on the wall. That's called a meta perspective, where we can think about ourselves from a perspective of a third person. So I'm not me, I'm someone who is observed by a fly in the wall. So let's say you have a fly on the wall in your living room, and that fly observed you for a while. What would it say? How could insecurities of this person I'm looking at right now try to destroy this new relationship? Now, it's easier, obviously, to answer these questions if you have done personal therapy, only because you're more aware of your blind spots. You've got to know yourself better, which is kind of the point of therapy, by the way. But if you haven't done any personal work and you're here watching this video, don't worry, this only means you are ready to know yourself better. Now, why is this question so crucial that I put it in my top 2 questions to ask at the beginning of every new relationship? First, it puts you in a position of responsibility. It says, I am aware that I'm not entering this relationship empty-handed. I'm entering it with a backpack. So what's in your backpack? Fear of abandonment, avoidance of conflict, maybe people-pleasing, maybe all 3, maybe something else. And second, once you know your sabotaging patterns, you can catch them earlier. When you feel the urge to shut down, to test your partner, to run away, you can pause and say, wait, I actually want this relationship, you're not sabotaging it again. That is what this question is for. Awareness of what you are bringing into this dynamic. Let me give you an example of this from a couple I used to work with a while ago. So she was someone who was finding control in knowing, and she would often, daily even, question her boyfriend. Did you put away the dishes? Did you move your keys to the shelf? Did you leave the car in the shade? And so on. And the way he would hear those questions was, oh, I must have done something wrong. She's criticizing me. So for him, he didn't hear a question there. He heard a criticizing sentence. And because of that, he would quickly get very defensive. So for them, the task was to become aware of this dynamic, this repetitive pattern that was threatening to destroy the relationship. For her, the inner dynamic, the unhealed wound was, I have to know, I have to be certain, which had a background in what showed up to be a very anxious environment. There was little to no predictability in the household. She learned from a very young age that the world is an unpredictable place, and that if she doesn't check if everything is in its place, everything might fall apart. For him, on the other hand, growing up meant that he had to do everything perfectly. And in his family of origin, he would be often, if not daily, criticized of the way he would have done things. So if he made a bed, for example, in a specific way, in specific order, his mother would come and without praising the effort, only asking, why did you do it this way and not that way? Putting the pillow on top and not underneath. Or where did you put the shoes this time? Which is excruciating to feel, not that we did something wrong, but to think that something is wrong with us as a whole, that we are somehow wrong. And that's what I mean when I say, let's see what both of you are bringing in this new relationship. Because most certainly, if I'm overreacting, I'm not reacting to you, to the person that is in front of me. I'm reacting to 100 other situations where I felt inadequate. And that is your sign to check with yourself. What am I reacting to? Because the early phase of love is powerful. Chemistry can make everything feel aligned, but chemistry is not compatibility, and intensity is not emotional maturity. If you can talk about your values openly and take responsibility for your own wounds, you dramatically increase your chances of building something that lasts and not something that feels good right now. So if you're at the beginning of something meaningful, don't just ask, do we have chemistry? Is this exciting? Also ask, are we moving in the same direction? And am I ready to love without sabotaging what I say I want? Because that's where real compatibility begins. If you found this video useful, you might also like the video about self-criticism and how it shows up in your relationship. In this video, we unpack how self-criticism in relationships creates a pattern of self-blame, emotional over-responsibility, and repeated conflict cycles. And I share one practical exercise I use when I work with couples that helps them to shift the criticism cycle simply. Enjoy and see you soon.